Hi, Kevin from Root Development. First of all, happy fall. This is our fall newsletter. We have a kitty down here following me. We have a lot of questions we get when applying our last application and there's leaves on the ground. And as you can see, there's plenty of leaves. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna make an application and I'm gonna show you the two for instances that everyone talks about. What happens if my lawn gets mowed afterwards? What happens if you apply while there are leaves? And two, what happens if they leaf blow after we make an application to get rid of the leaves? First of all, the way to look at it is these round granulars roll right to the bottom, off of the leaves, into the grass, down to the base of the soil. They're actually meant with a tackifier, built with a tackifier, so that once they hit the damp soil, they actually lock in place. Two, it's just like pouring milk on cereal. When you pour milk on cereal, it always settles to the bottom through all whatever bit of cereal you're having. Fertilizer is the same way. It's not going to go anywhere. Because you have fall time, whether it's your mower or if it is a contractor, they do not change their deck whatsoever. The mower mows the exact same whether there's leaves on the ground or no leaves whatsoever. There's no different lift system, there's no different much of anything. Sure, you will see them bagging and they will have a machine on the side of it that will take the clippings once it comes out of the deck itself, and that just pushes them further into the bags so they can collect leaves and or grass. After 40 years in the business, I've never dumped a catcher from the back of a mower with grass clippings in it and leaves and seen pellets of fertilizer. It won't vacuum them up. Golf courses are fertilized almost every 7 days. Sports fields are fertilized quite often and mowed almost every day. The fertilizer doesn't go anywhere. So I just want to rest assured that when we put a product down, it's going where it's supposed to be. If there are a real heavy load of leaves on it, we're going to naturally skip anyway. But what we see right here, this is completely acceptable for an application. The pellets are going to go down where they need to be, start activating very quickly, and any services after that can render without an issue. So I'm going to fertilize, and then I'm going to show you the fertilizer in the grass. I'll part the leaves, and then I'm going to run over it with a mower, do the same. And then I'm going to do the other area and I'm going to go over it with a leaf blower and show you that the pellets are still there. They didn't go anywhere and they didn't get moved around from the machine. Another thing I want to talk about real quick is these little pellets. There doesn't need to be one of those every square inch. They're designed to dissolve over time and those nutrients get into the soil and translocate and move. It's not going to be one pellet here that means only fertilizer has gotten there and only fertilizer has gotten there. It really they're meant to be dissolved, come into a liquid action, and then move throughout the soils so that they can be absorbed into the plants itself. So I'm just going to use my little hand cranker. We'll just do a couple areas here because, well, now I'm going to have a green spot in the yard. But just to show you that the pellets aren't going anywhere. Put this off to the side. And any pellets that landed on the leaves are not on the leaves whatsoever. There's nothing on the leaves. And you really actually have to look really deep into the soil and you can see that there's pellets down where they should be. Notice how here it is late in the afternoon. It's still wet and damp down here. So now these pellets that are down here, you can barely see them. They've already fallen down below any bit of grass layer. They're going to slowly dissolve, but more importantly, they become tacky and they actually stick to the soil in these brown pieces of grass, the crown of the grass, and they're not going to go anywhere. You can see a few here and there. So now I'm just going to mow over this and we're going to see the same area. Let me just put the grass the way it normally was and we'll inspect from there. And then we're going to leaf blow over it and notice that there's nothing moved from there either. You can see it did a great job on the leaves, mulched them up nicely. I prefer leaving them. I don't like to collect leaves. But let's go down and see where our pellets are. I think we were right over here. Here we are. So now you can see I just went over them, and we still have pellets, and if we go deeper, they're even deeper down in, but they went nowhere. There's more here. They're all in this. This was the same patch that we had pellets of fertilizer. Here they're popping up everywhere. They didn't go anywhere. So there's no way that the machine is going to pick them up and suck them. It didn't even move these leaves anywhere. There's still actually pellets still sitting on top of the grass that are going to vibrate through that it didn't even disturb. So now I'm going to take and do a leaf blow and just show you the same thing, that leaf blowing isn't going to cause any issue with the fertilizer application as well. Now this is a commercial leaf blower, the BR800. This is the most powerful one you can buy actually. And I'm just going to blow our leaves. Let's go over here since we didn't run the mower over here. And here's our pellets down. I'll pull them out. Here they are. Again, they're not meant to be every inch, square inch, but they're falling down into the canopy even more. But if I go deeper, there they are sitting. Here's a blue one. They didn't go anywhere. Again, that's a steel BR800, the most powerful steel that they make. Same ones that most contractors that are doing fall cleanups in your lawn maintenance are going to use. Just want to let you to see that the fertilizer doesn't go anywhere. Again, if we notice that the leaves are super thick, we're going to turn away anyway and reschedule. But this would be a normal application to get our application down into the ground where it's going to start working quickly. Once I get everything cleaned up, I'm going to come back on tape. I'm going to talk a little bit more about what we're actually putting down, the benefits of why we put it down now, and what's going to happen to it in the springtime. All right, the second part to that, just wanted to show you, just to confirm that the pellets aren't going to go anywhere. We're not going to take any chances of any lawns that are heavily covered with leaves, but leaf cover is actually good for the lawn. It'll hold moisture in after our pellets drop down from our spreader into the top layer of the soil. Pardon me, gotta back up. Yeah. So what are we putting down? The last application, what people don't understand is that it's actually for the spring. It's an important application. It's one of my favorites, not because it's the last one. Not that we don't need a break, but I truly do love being on the turf. But it's the product itself and why I like it so much. It's called AMS, or ammonium sulfate. It's another form of nitrogen, and this is the form of nitrogen that gives our turf a really, really deep green, especially when it wakes up in the springtime. It gives it that Irish green that we've used year after year. The goal of this is to not have slow release. So we want this fertilizer to get uptaken very quickly into the plant and be stored into the plant, which becomes carbohydrates. So the way plant makes food, whether it's photosynthesis, whether it's something that we're giving it in addition to the normal photosynthesis and grabbing nutrients from the soil, it makes the product stay in the plant because it's cold. It doesn't go anywhere. It's a natural, well, I guess natural, but it's a slow release built in to the product because when it's applied during cold weather, it moves very, very slowly compared to other products. We don't want something that's going to be slow release over a long period of time in the wintertime because that actually can cause some disease issues. And what happens is if you get a layer of nitrogen in the top of the soil constantly releasing, so some of your 30, 60, 90-day slow releases that could carry and infuse nitrogen throughout the fall and into the winter, if we do get some snow, it covers over and it actually causes almost like a little petri dish. It causes a thermal of heat because that air, the air is protected from the top coming down. The heat from the soil is coming up from the earth, our 55 degrees, and a lot of times once we get a snow cover, our frozen soil goes away until it melts, and then is exposed and then freezes again. So when that thermal little area happens with the snow load, you actually can get some pretty good growing activity, and if that nitrogen is there to release, it causes cold season funguses, which is pink snow mold and gray snow mold. We haven't seen too much of it in the last couple of years, really because we haven't had long-term snow coverage, but this could be the year, who knows. Not saying that using this product is going to prevent it completely, but it definitely helps reduce the possibility of having some type of disease outbreak underneath snow layer if we have it. So that's why we use it. Also, it wakes the plant up very, very well, strong and healthy. The first application that goes out in the springtime is actually really designed to start working around May and June. That's why we take our time going out in the spring. We want more weeds to be actively growing when we come out, because the only way we can treat weeds is if they're there. We can actually use a control product that is a topical that will kill them when they're active. It won't prevent them. The only prevention we have, and it's not a guaranteed prevention, is crabgrass control, and we do 2 applications of that spread across the first and second application to help lessen any outbreaks of crabgrass. Most of the time, the hot spots are going to be along your curb line edges, driveway edges, where the turf gets stressed out, gets really warm. The grass doesn't like that heat and that lack of water, but crabgrass sure loves it. That's why we do a double application of it. So really what we're putting down in the fall is for the spring wake up. It allows us to start a little bit later compared to, you see some of those large chains that are out in February and March when the ground and the plants are not even available to take any nutrients. They haven't woken up. The soil, the microbes in the soil aren't doing a darn thing except in hibernation and taking rest. Mother Nature takes her rests, and that is when grass and soil and microbes are waiting for the right temperatures, roughly about 50 degrees. Crabgrass starts to germinate at 55. So we like to go out when soil temperatures are around 45 degrees. That's when we'll be out there because weeds will be active at that time. We can eradicate some of those in the first application and a follow-up spot spraying of weeds on the second application. So we will be out with a vengeance while we're starting our next application the last week of October. If you've not noticed, I have a new partner out in the turf. My wife, Stacy, has joined root development full-time. So she is on a machine many of times. She's also in the office helping out in other admin situations. And also our son Kyle, you'll see he is with us as well. Some of you may have known that he did have an accident in May, and he's doing extremely well. And you can see that he spends maybe about 2 hours on a machine getting his functions back to where they need to be before he can move on to whatever he chooses to do in his next career. But we are truly a family business. We are eager to stay a family business, and we are grateful for your support in our small business. We just service this little area the best we can. We really believe in sustainable products. We want to bring service back to this industry where we really are here to serve and provide the best solutions to your turf, and we call it nutrition because that's what we want to do. We want to put nutrition into the soil. The grass is going to be a secondary result. It's going to grow, it's going to take off, and I'm very happy with how our turf has recovered from the summer, just about on every piece of turf that we've been on. Very pleased, and that's really because of the great products that we're using. We source them, we have them custom blended based on our environment and weather. So next year, who knows what we'll be putting down, but basically the same stuff, more natural products, more sustainable, not organic. That's a tricky word. We are not organic. We have to use medicines from time to time, but it's all dependent on the weather and what Mother Nature is going to do to us. So we will see you out on the turf. We hope to be wrapped up, I'm going to say probably the first week of December. It takes us about 6 weeks to get through all our applications to do them right. We want to make sure that we're providing the same service from application 1 to the last application in our round each time. We don't cut corners. We will be treating weeds, spot treating weeds, as long as the temperatures allow. Obviously, any of the products that we use can freeze when it is cold out, 32 degrees and below, so we have to be careful of that. But as long as we have the temperatures, any little weed that we see, we are going to treat and make sure we get them under control, so it's just less to deal with in the spring. You guys have yourself a great Halloween. We will check back in November, which won't be too far, but towards the end of November, probably closer to Thanksgiving, and let you know what we see on the turf. Thank you very much.